Hello everybody and welcome to Impact. I'm Nick Barber, your host for the government segment. And today our special guest is Angelo Santabarbara, Assemblyman Santabarbara from the 111th Assembly District in New York State. That's Albany, Montgomery, and Schenectady counties. You're no stranger to Impact
Nick,
or Open Stage Media. Welcome back again.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Great to see you. And I know you were so busy today. It was amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
How many things did you do since you got up besides brushing your teeth? You've been,
you've
all over the place.
If you follow the Facebook and Twitter, I try to post as I go along. I try to post it as things happen so people can kind of see if I'm going to be in a certain area and maybe try and, if I'm going to an event, try and be out there if they want to talk to me or say anything or have some information for me.
And we're going to talk about a few things here, and I know your time is precious, but these are important issues.
Absolutely.
What's going on in the New York State Assembly, particularly what are you involved in? And I suppose the first one, if you don't mind, we could talk about is this flood tax relief bill. Are you a sponsor of that?
Yes, I'm the Assembly sponsor, and on the Senate side, Senator Kachik is the Senate sponsor.
Yes.
And what we're trying to do is, everybody knows about the flooding that happened earlier this year.
Yes.
There was quite a bit of damage. I surveyed the area several times, and people have lost their homes. People were forced out of their houses at a moment's notice, showed up to the shelters. The Red Cross did a great job being on the ground there, setting up that shelter very, very quickly, getting those people the shelter they need, the food, the help. And my hat's off to the service they provide. And they, as a result of that, what's happened is some of these houses, some of these homes, some of them are no longer there, but some are significantly damaged. And what's happening is now they're getting hit with a tax bill, full assessment. And I think you're familiar with some of these issues.
I am. You know, we worked for the county in different ways. You were a county legislator, and I was the county director of Real Property Tax Services.
So what happens is now there's no house. There hasn't been a house since since earlier this year. So what we want to do is this bill allows the local municipalities to opt in to reassess those properties if they choose to do so. It allows them to do that. So, on a scale, depending on how much damage was done, they could reassess that property. And if the property is no longer there, obviously they'd have to
assess it at vacant land value or whatever. But it says adding insult to injury, paying taxes on a property, A, there was a devastating event, but B, it's not even there anymore. So so that's a good bill.
And we're trying to get aid. We managed to get some state aid to the flood victims, the individual aid that was desperately needed. FEMA did provide the public assistance, but not the individual assistance. So we worked with the governor's office, with my colleagues in the legislature. We were able to provide the individual assistance to the families. Now they're trying to rebuild. And the last thing they need is they get hit with a tax bill now. And I've talked to some people at the press conference when we announced this bill. And they're in a situation where their house is not habitable anymore. They can't go back to it, although it's still standing. So they purchased another property. Now they're in a situation where they have two tax bills now. So I'm hoping that this bill will go through this year. If it doesn't, we did make it retroactive. So at least, even though they'll have to pay the tax bill,
the current bill,
there's a mechanism in there that allows you to go back to June and
get a refund or
get that money back.
Get a credit or a refund. This is for a window period of over the summer, right? June 20th to July 7th.
It applies to this specific flooding disaster. So there's always the potential there could be another one. There would be a separate bill would have to be introduced for. And we're hoping that this doesn't happen again. But natural disasters like this, you're hearing about them more and more. So these are things we need to start thinking about, especially in areas, and this was Fort Plain, the western part of my district. But, we had a tornado not too long ago in Bellevue, in Schenectady. And I rode with the Red Cross with their emergency vehicle to survey the damage there. A lot of damage happened, a lot of trees fell. These things are happening more and more, so as we go forward, I think it's important to keep that in mind when we're rebuilding. You know, as the saying goes, we want to build back better. We do want to build back better. We want to make sure that entire villages are not devastated like this. We want to minimize that as much as we can.
Absolutely, like Prattsville and that Hurricane Irene,
Exactly.
Tropical Storm Lee, that whole area was wiped out. It's a small place in Schoharie County, but I remember the governor being there, and that was a horrible thing.
Yeah, and you know, these things really affect families. I was at the Red Cross shelter talking to some of the families. I was in the cafeteria, and I met a 9-year-old girl that I have a 9-year-old at home. So it really, you know, you make the connection that these families are displaced. You want that girl to get back to school, get back to her life. You want to do that as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Whatever aid we could provide from the state, we did, but we want to make sure that we're prepared just in case it happens again.
Yes.
We want to make sure that these families have the assistance they need to move on and recover from disasters like this as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. Well, children, especially a 9-year-old that age, it's also a good exhibit to say that there's people to help, and when there's a disaster, help is here, and you know, it's temporary and it can be fixed. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
so
there's you know, we were out there quite a bit. We worked with the Red Cross. We want to. There's some things that, you know, I looked around my house when I got home that night. Some things, you know, pictures and photographs, and some things that can't be replaced.
Irreplaceable.
And those are the things that really, those are the things that really are invaluable. And some things, unfortunately, can't be replaced. But at least we can do what we can to help them, you know, move on and start the recovery process.
Well, that's a great bill. I think it's wonderful and it's appropriate and necessary. So we hope it goes forward and, you know, moves on without a glitch.
Thank you.
Does this apply to the whole state or to certain areas, just your district? What does this relief apply to? What counties?
It applies to specific counties, Montgomery County, of course, and some other. It's been expanded to include some other counties as well.
Okay, so there's several counties involved, and there'll be more to come. Another bill that you're working on, Schenectady School District's contracts bill. I looked at it earlier, and it looked like, something to correct maybe a reimbursement issue in the Schenectady School School District. Is that what it is?
This is reimbursement for transportation, and there was some, I guess something happened where they did not receive their reimbursement, and we talked to the school and we talked to Larry Spring, and we figured out that you know, what was supposed to happen didn't happen. So this and of course schools have been an issue.
Yes.
Since day one, the funding for our schools.
Yes.
You know, our schools I think are underfunded at this point. We're really trying to get more money into the budget. We're trying to get more aid to the schools to make sure that they can do their job. I think schools really impact a region, an area very significantly. So this was an issue that came up during that process. We put this bill in to make sure that they did get the proper reimbursement, to correct whatever was not done correctly, to make sure that they received the money that had.
So it's a fix-it bill, which is good and appropriate.
But those, you know,
the problem is government moves slow when things like this happen, and then the school district suffers because they don't have that revenue. And until the legislation becomes effective, you know, they're hurt, you know, with this deficit or this loss.
Exactly, and we fought to get an increase in the school aid this year. We did get some. We are going to keep fighting for it. We're going to try and build on that next year. We were able to get some other funds to them to help offset some of the costs. You know, that some of the they're going through a lot of changes right now. We're trying to help with funding as much as possible. We hope that next year that trend will continue. And they do receive more aid so that they continue to, it's an important job to educating our children.
Sure is.
Teachers don't have an easy job. The whole school system doesn't have an easy job. We got to make sure they have the tools that they need, and our children have the tools they need to compete with other students across the state and be ready to move on to the next level and to colleges and universities and so on and so forth.
Well, we're going to move down the list again. You've got a lot going on here, very busy, and and it's all good stuff. You're watching Impact. I'm your host, Nick Barber. Our guest is Assemblyman Angelo Santabarbara, Assemblyman for the 111th Assembly District, Albany, Montgomery, and Schenectady counties. We're talking about current and proposed legislation that you either sponsor or co-sponsor. The next one is the Mohawk Valley Heritage Corridor Commission bill. And what's that about, the Mohawk Valley Heritage Corridor
this was a
Commission?
group that was in existence for years and years, and then what this bill does is it allows the commission to exist. Although there's,
Was it in jeopardy before? Is this
Yeah,
new?
there's
I mean,
been-
they've
there-
been around, haven't they?
yes, there's been some
So
funding.
there's been some fluctuation in
fu-
their status, huh?
Funding was the
okay,
main issue.
okay.
They have a lot of people that volunteer, a lot of people that help.
Yes.
But we wanted to make sure this legislation, what it does is it allows them to exist, so that if they ever do get the funding, we don't have to go back and redo this. If they are able to get the funding later this year, we were hoping that this bill could be passed so that they can at least have they exist and there's a place to apply that
Okay,
funding.
so you're,
So that they can do their work. It's significant
Yeah.
work for involves cultural resources, our natural gems, I'll call them.
tourism, economic
Tourism, exactly.
development, yeah.
And our area is really rich in those
Sure
things.
is.
We have we have the river, we have a lot of history here. This commission works on initiatives like that. I think it's very important for the region, very important for the area.
Thank you, Assemblyman. The next one is sort of close to my heart, and it's important throughout New York State because we compete throughout the nation. The Film Tax Credit Bill, Empire State Film Production Tax. Tell us a little bit about that.
This the film tax credit bill has to do with film production, and there was money that was allocated for incentives, but Schenectady County was one of the counties, and other upstate counties were not included in this.
They were just missed somehow?
Yeah, it just, for whatever reason, it was not put in. There's money allocated,
Yeah.
and I think the number is in here. There was $420 million, but this has to do with economic development.
Yes.
These are different kind of jobs.
Yes.
These are jobs that stem around the film industry.
Yes.
And we're hoping someday to have some of that industry here in Schenectady County and beyond these borders in the upstate area.
Absolutely.
So I thought that it's something that we should be included in. We should have the same opportunities
Yes.
as the rest of the state. New York State is one state.
Yeah.
Upstate should have those same eligibility to apply for those credits, to maybe attract a film studio here or
Yeah.
something closely related to that. And you're talking about more economic development, more jobs, and like I said, different kinds of jobs.
It's all good. They may be temporary, but it is economic development. As you probably know, I was on the Film Alliance, one of the co-founders in the Schenectady Film Commission, and we worked very hard to try to do these things. This kind of legislation really helps attract big productions, even independents, history channels. We had the Place Beyond the Pines here in Schenectady, right in your district. That was about a $2 million impact.
Yeah.
Winter of Frozen Dreams 2008 was about a $1 million impact. The SALT was in Albany. I mean, there's a lot of interest in upstate New York because of the cooperation, the excitement. It's not
Exactly.
like metropolitan New York where you have to go through hoops and all kinds of approvals. So this is great.
I think
because it gives more incentive for them to do new productions here.
Absolutely. I think this is a very important bill. It means a lot of economic development for
Yes.
the area. As you see, downtown Schenectady, we all know the
Yes.
changes that have happened.
Yeah.
This would just continue to build on that.
Right.
And I think it would open up a lot of opportunities. We
Yes.
have Proctor's right here. You just keep building on that. And I think this is very important to the area. I'm hoping that this bill, I know it's in front of the governor now, I'm hoping that it gets signed and that we are eligible and that we can open up some opportunities here.
Well, we hope so too. I'm sure all the unions and the workers appreciate this and would be in favor because they need electricians, production assistants, transportation, food catering, logistics, all kinds of things to put a production on, depending on the budgets. They're not all big blockbuster budgets, but
Yeah.
this is not an unrealistic thing that this would help enhance film and television production here in this region.
And like I said, a lot of jobs, stem from the industry.
Yes.
Just having a company come to this area. A lot of
Yep.
other economic activity develops because of that.
Yep.
So it's
good
very
luck with
important.
it.
I'm hoping to see that come through this year.
We're hoping too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll keep our fingers
Should
crossed.
we call
here.
the governor and ask him to sign it here?
You
Have
know,
people-
it wouldn't hurt, but
okay, viewing audience out there, tell them, Angelo Santabarbara, Assemblyman Santabarbara's film tax credit bill is very important, and well, tell your local representatives, but particularly the governor's office, that we hope the governor will sign it. Thank you very much. Well, let's see. The star exemption. That's important. If we
Yes.
could just take a minute on that, because myself out there, still involved a little bit in real property taxes, there's so many questions about, I'm going to lose the star exemption. They're, they're getting rid of it, or there's been misinformation out there. What's going on with the star exemption?
well, you have to
currently?
reapply for it.
Okay,
It's a
so
very
that's
simple
what they wanna
process.
know.
You
Yeah.
should have received something in the mail. If you
letter.
haven't, contact the New York State Taxation Department. Contact my office. We have several offices, but
Yes.
my website as well. You can get information on my website. But you have to renew. There's still time to do it. It takes very little time.
Yes.
As you know, it takes
Yes.
very little time even go into town hall to fill out the form or wherever.
Or do it online.
You can do it
Yeah,
online.
yeah, right.
But just as a reminder to the people watching, don't forget to do this.
Right.
We want to make sure that our working families out there that qualify for this are getting that money back.
They're just due.
And keeping
Yeah.
that money in their pockets.
Absolutely.
To use for other things, to make sure that they
Yeah.
qualify, to make sure that they get this star exemption. But if you
Yeah.
miss it, then you're going to miss out.
You missed the deadline, you have to
Yeah.
wait till the next year. So it's important for the viewing audience to remember, if you want the star exemption now, and this all stemmed from some misuse of it downstate, of people trying to apply for multiple star exemptions and just sort of, non-kosher things down
Yeah,
there.
but if-
and this is good,
Yeah.
because it'll eliminate the abuse and give just due to the people that really are entitled
Yes,
to it.
if
So
you're
you have to
entitled-
reapply for it.
You have to reapply.
Yeah.
I put a reminder out on my
Good.
website and my Facebook. I'm trying to remind people as much as possible. If they have any questions at all,
Okay.
they can contact my office, 843-0227. They can call me to ask questions. We can direct them to wherever they need to go.
Okay.
But again, it's a simple process.
Yes.
It does not take a lot of time.
Yes.
And you can do it online, which is
Yes.
very convenient. Just take a second and do it. We want to make sure that our hardworking families, we're putting that money back in your pocket.
Yeah. I know exemption filing deadlines in New York State are March 1st, but let's forget about that date. That's way beyond. Do it now.
Just get it out of the way.
Because this is a current
Yeah.
topic, and do it right away, and then it's taken care of and you don't have to worry about it.
Yep, very important reminder. Thank you for mentioning
well,
that.
thank you. Well, Assemblyman Santabarbara, you have a new office in Schenectady, in Center City, I'm told.
Yes.
Tell us about that. That's new.
We just moved into...
That's great. Right across the street from where we're filming right now. where
Right
we're
across the
taping.
street, and it's
Yeah.
in Center City. Same place where you go. The YMCA is behind us.
Yes.
I thought it was... We have an office in Amsterdam. We want to have an office in Schenectady. We want to be as accessible as possible. And of course, we have the office in Albany.
Yes.
But we want to make sure that the entire district has easy access to their assemblymen. If they want to stop in, make an appointment, they're free to do that. Anytime they want, they can call. And I'm happy to be in both parts of the district to make sure I'm as accessible as possible. I'll have office hours in both areas.
Great.
But again, if anybody needs to get a hold of me, anybody wants to meet personally, anybody in your audience, they can just give a call. We can set an appointment, and we can talk face to face. We can do it over the phone. Again, it's all about accessibility, making sure that I hear what's important to you.
Well, thank you. I think that's great outreach to the constituents in the district, especially when you have a big district like yours. So maybe we can put that information up on the screen, your contact information. Now, there's another. You do so many things. The run. There's a run from Duanesburg to Schenectady on Thanksgiving, and you're going to participate in this yourself.
Yes,
we talked about you're in training, like Rocky. Do you drink raw eggs in the morning? Like, what are you going to do? How are you going to do this?
Well,
this is a long run.
This is something that's very
What
close
is it?
to my heart.
Let's tell the people.
I have an 11-year-old son who's autistic,
Yes.
and I've been involved with the Autism Society of the Greater Capital Region, which
Yeah.
is right down the road here
Yes.
on State Street. I work with them. I do some charity work, and this particular run involves the Autism Society. What I'm trying to do is get sponsorships to make a run. It's a 15-mile run.
Yes.
And it will be from Schaefer Park in Duanesburg to Central Park in Schenectady.
And how long of a distance? How far of a distance
It's
is that?
15 miles.
And you are going to run 15?
I am training.
Oh, God bless
and,
you.
I am going to make this run. We're going to hopefully hand over a big check at the finish line. If we get all of our sponsors, all our sponsorships for this run, we're going to hand over a check to the Autism Society.
That's great.
And again, it's for charity.
Yes.
It's any way that I can help out, I want to help out.
Yes.
This is something that's important to the community. They do autism, as you know, has been a growing concern.
It's been not getting the attention in years past that it should have.
The awareness
it's becoming more.
Yes.
There's more awareness now.
The awareness is
because
increasing.
of things like you're doing. That's
Yes.
You're doing this on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, on Thanksgiving
So
Day.
on a holiday, on Thanksgiving Day, you're going to run before you eat turkey or after? I hope it's before.
Probably before.
I'm going to watch. I'm going to be there. I'll be cheering you on. What if someone wants to sponsor this? How do they sponsor it? Are they?
They can contact the Autism Society directly. They can make a donation towards the run. We're going to set up something online as well.
Okay.
Although I am the runner, they are a partner in this.
Yes, of course.
So they're going to be setting up. They can contact the Autism Society directly. They can contact.
And mention your event.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Assemblyman Santa Barbara's Turkey Run or whatever you're going to call it. Event
Well,
on
this is something
Thanksgiving
new.
Day.
If I survive the run,
Well,
we are going to make it a yearly event.
Yeah, maybe you want to shorten it up to 5K.
It's a long run, but
yeah, it is. 15.
But I
well,
think,
that's from Duanesburg to Schenectady.
Yes.
Where is it from? One park in Duanesburg.
Yep, Schaefer Park to Schenectady Central Park, which is not far from here.
Wow, God bless you.
Well, I was in the Army years ago. I got to bring some of that back and make sure that I'm ready for this.
Good for you. That's great. That's wonderful. Well, it's been great visiting with you. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss, inform our viewing audience? We covered a lot of things. You're a very busy guy.
Well, we talked about a lot of good legislation, but it all stems from hearing from the community, what's important to the community. That's where this legislation comes from, talking to the school districts, talking to our business leaders, talking to our constituents. I encourage people to do that more. Send me emails, send me letters, call me. Even if it's something small.
Yes.
If it's something important to you, I want to hear about it.
Good.
I do respond to all my emails, all the telephone calls, all the messages. They're all looked at. Sometimes we're overwhelmed, especially during session.
Sure.
And it takes a little while longer to get back to people, but we do get back. We work on responding and making sure that your issues are acknowledged and that I have that information when I'm on the assembly floor.
Well, thank you. Assemblyman Angelo Santabarbara, 111th Assembly District, for being with us, taking the time to be with us here on Impact. You've got so many things going on. You're really reaching out to constituents and doing good things, and we want to thank you for that on behalf of our viewers.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here and share that information.
Same here, and we hope you come back again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will do.
You've been watching Impact. I'm your host, Nick Barber. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Proctors, bringing the best in arts, education, and entertainment.